Every week I receive emails from pro se litigants or potential pro se litigants who ask me to assess their facts to determine whether their case has merit to move forward with a lawsuit. And recently, I've been receiving emails from individuals who would send me their assessment, which in fact was done by AI. So, in essence, what I would be doing is assessing what AI has assessed. Well, here's the issue, not the fact that the individual use AI. That's not the issue. The issue is, did you assess the true raw facts? Did you analyze your case? Because AI is going to base their assessment on the information that you gave them. So here's what I'm saying. As a result of me continuing to get these type of emails, I started conducting research. And in my research, I came across this article. How AI is leveling the legal playing field for pro se litigants by Stacey McCallister Bent. And this is an article that she wrote on March 20, 2025. And I want to share this article with you because in it, she talks about how AI leveled the playing field for her. But she also stressed that critical thinking is important. In other words, using AI does not negate having critical thinking. Listen, Miss Bent got it right. So let's talk about it. So, why use AI? And how AI is changing the game. And I want you to hear what Miss Bent had to say. Using AI powered legal tools, I am able to draft legal filings that are not only on par with those prepared by attorneys, but in many cases superior. And I am not mad at you. The point here is she say AI is helping me. One, it helps her to organize complex legal arguments. Two, it helps her to cite relevant case law. Three, it helps her to format filings to meet court standards. Four, it helps her to anticipate opposing arguments. And five, it helps her to avoid common procedural missteps. And here's where she cautions us. If you're a serious litigator, please take heed. Miss Bent says AI is not a magic bullet. I still have to put in the work, gathering evidence, refining arguments, and ensuring my case is airtight. She continues, AI assists, but it does not replace the critical thinking and effort required to present a compelling case. And you know why I am so excited about this article? Because it helps me to explain to the pro se litigant why they should be cautious about using AI. I didn't want to sound like I didn't want the pro se litigant to use AI because I'm a lawyer and you're taking away from lawyers. No, no, no. I wanted to avoid that. And when I saw this article, I said, oh my word. Here is a pro se litigant who is expressing exactly what I am thinking, and how am I going to tell the pro se litigant? Be careful how you use AI without criticizing the pro se litigant using AI. Well, this article explains it perfectly. In fact, I could not have said it any clearer. And I'll leave a link up for this article, and I'll leave a link in the description page of this YouTube video where you can read Miss Bent's article. And I encourage you to read it because she talks about instances that compelled her to use AI. And in doing so, to think critically. So now I want to turn to critical thinking and eye-racking facts. You know I'm big on that. Because think about this. The facts that you give AI, AI in return is going to assess your case based on those facts. And you file a lawsuit based on AI's assessment of your case. And again, remember, AI is only assessing based on what you provided to AI. Further into the litigation, there will be some inconsistencies, discrepancies that could very well lead to the defendant filing a motion to dismiss or a motion for summary judgment. And that's why you've got to vet your facts thoroughly, and critical thinking is involved because eye-racking the facts is part of critical thinking. So let's specifically talk about what critical thinking consists of. Courtesy of AI's assessment through the eyes of the American Bar Association. So you can't get any more legitimate than that. One, critical thinking consists of separating fact from opinion. It sounds familiar? Vetting your facts, the raw facts, determining what actually happened versus what someone believes happened. Listen, pro se, this is an issue with the pro se litigant. I get it. This is an emotional time. You're under stress. I get it. But you got to get to the raw, true facts. And I'm going to encourage you to review that video that I uploaded a couple of weeks ago about vetting your facts. Two, evaluating evidence, assessing the credibility of witnesses, documents, and other proofs to identify their strengths and weaknesses. Three, identifying relevant information. Critical thinking involves filtering out irrelevant details and focusing on the legally significant facts that directly impact the elements of the lawsuit. And let me stress this, that directly impact the elements of the lawsuit. In other words, line up the elements and identify the facts that support each element. Four, recognizing assumptions, questioning the motives, biases, or unstated premises behind claims made by the opposing side. Yes, analyze their motives, biases, the claims, because what they can do is help you get to the root of why the opposing party is making the claims they are making. For example, retaliation is a big one. Understanding, for example, that the motives or biases were to retaliate against you because you complained could help you convince the court that your case has merit, at least to the extent to overcome the opposing side's motion to dismiss. Don't leave any stone unturned. And five, applying the law. Logically comparing, here we go again, the specific facts of your case to established statutes, codes, or legal precedents to build a sound argument. In other words, AI is saying, I can only go so far. Vet your facts carefully, vet them thoroughly. Because remember, AI is not going to do that for you. That is your responsibility. Okay? So let me talk to you just a little bit. 31 years ago, when I started practicing law, I did divorce cases. They are emotional, and the experience can be very traumatic. I've seen it where it damaged people irreparably. So I get it. And I've also experienced a divorce, not by choice. And that makes it even more painful. But fortunately, as an attorney, I was able to address that. Plus, it happened while I was practicing law, so some of my attorney buddies, one in particular, and this is a light moment here to make you smile. This attorney friend of mine said, let me have it. Let me take him to court. And I responded, no, it's not worth it. All I wanted was peace. We didn't have any children, and the property just wasn't worth it to me fighting over. But in a situation where you've been married for decades, there are children involved, there are assets involved that mostly were accumulated by both parties. The party being divorced against has no other choice but to fight it. And Miss Bent is doing this through her organization, Justice for Mothers. And I'm going to leave a link where you can contact Justice for Mothers, again in the description page of this YouTube video. Hey guys, I know this video is helpful to many of you. And until next time, I'm Advocate Lucinda, your empowerment lawyer. Take care.